Hello and welcome to the Blue Shadow Podcast. My name is Joey.
I am Dan, and as 2024 is beginning to wind down, Joey and I thought it'd be a good time to discuss what our favorite Lego sets were of this year. As you guys have, if you've listened to us before, you know we're very big Star Wars fans, very big Lego Star Wars fans, but we are just Lego appreciators as a whole, so we just wanted to talk about what our favorite sets were, regardless of the theme.
It's true. And
So,
we wanted to emphasize that we do own, like, I own some of the sets on my list, but not all of them. And I think we wanted to stress that it's sets that our favorite sets, whether we bought them or not, that release throughout the year.
yeah, it's these are and or upcoming release. One of my sets has not released yet.
Really?
Yeah,
It's coming out in 2024?
in like a week.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I didn't know they went this far out.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's just jump right into it. So if you guys have listened to us before, whenever we talk about our favorites, our structure is pick our five favorites, counting backwards with an honorable mention. So we're gonna just jump right into it. The first honorable mention.
That's from me, and that is the Imperial Star Destroyer. And the reason that this is on an honorable mention and on the list is because I'm a heroes guy. The Star Destroyer, while really cool, doesn't do it for me. But the reason it's here is because it is the first time we have gotten a Lego Cal Kestis. I am thrilled about this figure. I bought this set and sold it on eBay without the Cal Kestis figure. I declared that it wasn't there. I didn't like swindle someone.
Mhm.
But I love this figure. It's sitting next to my Lego BD1 right now. It's fantastic. And I love this set because it delivered us this figure. So
Yeah, it's a great set. I'm a little biased to it, but I don't have it, but I'm a
I
little
think you
biased to
would
it.
care more about Dan hasn't fully played the Jedi Survivor game or Jedi Fallen Order Jedi Survivor. So Dan probably cares more about the set inverse
I
to the way
love
I
it.
feel about it.
Love an Imperial Star Destroyer.
It's pretty iconic.
It is the Star Wars ship behind the Millennium Falcon.
It's true. How about your honorable mention, Dan?
My honorable mention is the unreleased set, and that is the Endurance.
Sounds like a Star Wars ship.
It is. It is a ship that actually sank in Antarctica in
Oh,
1915, but it's a very, very good looking set. I feel like it's a set you can just have on a mantelpiece and look very nice.
that's pretty cool.
It is, right? Like, I'd buy that.
I love when they use the cloth pieces to like
Hmm.
be sails because I feel like in the past they really leaned into like the like vinyl kind of like
Hmm.
plasticky looking, and this really looks so good.
Yeah. It,
I'm like enamored by the sails.
I know. I was very excited when I saw this on the list.
Yeah, this is not something that I necessarily would purchase myself, but if you had this in your house, I would certainly like ooh and ah over it.
Right? But again, it's just a good piece to have out.
And cool that it's a like a real thing too.
Hmm.
Ready for our number fives?
Yes, I will jump right into it. My fifth set of this year that I really, really like is, drumroll please, the Cathedral Notre Dame. So it's an architect set, which I didn't think I'd like it, but then I saw it in person at the Lego store and I'm like, holy crap, this is really cool. Um,
It is so cool. I hadn't really I don't pay too much attention to the architecture set or sets, but it's so detailed.
Incredibly detailed and again, would be appropriate to have out,
I mean,
which
I
I
don't know
think is
what you're
really
saying.
cool.
Our definition of appropriate to have out is clearly very different.
Well, I mean, you can have all Legos out and all Legos should be displayed.
I mean, my mother's not going to make a comment about this like she would about my Lego Horizon tall neck. I think that's
I
kind of
guess.
what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Would Joey's we have the would Joey's mom complain about it factor.
That's the new segment
Well, chances are probably doesn't really matter what else. Hopefully she doesn't find this. Anyway,
at some point.
you good with this, Dan?
Yeah, how about you? What is your number five?
Before we talk about number five, I just noticed something, and I love that clear window that's on the right side here. I just think it's so
Hmm.
cool. Anyway, my number five, we have Batman the Animated Series, Gotham City. I am not the biggest Batman fan. I really am connected to Batman most through the Arkham games, but this set is awesome. I love minifigures in my Lego sets. It's kind of the reason that I primarily come to the party. Like I'll buy minifigures outside of sets, even if I don't want the whole thing, especially for Star Wars, because I don't always want all the ships. But I
Hmm.
love that this is a display piece, something that for a Batman fan, it's minimal on the would Joey's mom complain about it factor. I would say because it's flat, it looks a little more like an art piece kind of, but it also incorporates his minifigures, and it incorporates a lot of details within the build experience that are like Easter eggs to Batman the Animated Series. I think it's built in such a way where you watch an episode while you build a bag, and there are like references to that episode.
Hmm.
As it's so cool, and I don't know that this is one that I'll ever make an effort to own, but I think it's awesome
It is
nonetheless.
very, very cool. Now,
I saw it in the Lego store the other day. It was like super
that's
nifty.
that's the worst. And honestly, that's how a lot of these sets ended up on my list. Just going to the Lego store and seeing what they have built to display, and I'm like, I want that.
I am surprised by a lot of Dan's picks here. We tend to share our list, so we do know what each the other has picked. And I'm very surprised by Dan's list, and we'll talk about the most surprising ones as we go forward. But that does take us to my number four, which is in fact the Botanical Garden. This one is newly released. It came out on November 1st, and this is not something that I would necessarily think that I would want. I don't necessarily love like botanical gardens. I don't collect Lego City at all. Like all my minifigures aren't yellow skin color. They're normally based on like a property or something. But I just there's something about this. I love it. Really reminds me of like some of the like botanical gardens that are around where we live. Like actually get to feel like you're in that experience as you're building it. And I love the clear dome pieces that build up the ceiling so much. I don't know if you've seen like the interior of this, Dan, but
I have not.
it really like there are unique plant builds. It's so cool.
Hmm.
And a lot of minifigures, which is really exciting too. I'm used to the licensed minifigure counts where like Marvel and Star Wars, it's usually really expensive and there aren't a lot of minifigures. This is like they're coming out of the wazoo.
That is the good part about the Lego City. It's almost like what, a 1-to-1 brick to minifigure ratio.
It seems so sometimes. Does
Yeah.
this one tickle your fancy at all, Dan?
Um, it's a cool set to look at. Probably just not my speed.
I
And I know you're probably knowing what you know about what's coming up. That comment probably you're probably a little confused by it, and that's okay.
no, I think what I'm learning from your selections thus far is you like more of a build experience, less of a little scene. I
Hmm.
think I like to have the figures in a scene, typically something that I care about deeply, like Star Wars. But I think this is just something cute about this that works for me. But
Yeah, I'm not a figures. I mean, I love figures, minifigures, but my first couple did not have figures on them.
no, not at all. But you want to show us your number four?
Yes, my number four also lacks minifigures, and it's the NASA Artemis launch system. And I just think it's so cool to look at. Just a rocket.
See, this one doesn't do it as much for me.
Well,
And that's
I
okay, totally. But
I
walk
think
me through what you like about it.
it's
Win
just
me
so
over.
it it's just such a cool set. I mean, it's first of all, rockets are just in their own. So if you guys don't know, I'm a little bit of an aviation nerd. Um, just I don't think I've ever spoken about it before,
I
but
don't think you have on the air.
like I love plane watching. I love anything that flies.
You
Uh,
do.
so I mean, I feel like this has to be on there. The Artemis system, just it's iconic.
For me, it's like the launch tower that kind of just like it takes away from the ship almost to me.
And that's fair. I'll
But
concede that.
but it's cool and it has a enormous footprint, which is awesome. Like
Very,
I will concede that. It's a eye catcher.
it is, and I feel like this is one of those. Would Joey's mom approve?
I
I
think
don't
it's on
think
the
there'd be.
fringe.
I don't think there'd be anything against it. More of same the why, but
Like I think she would be more like oh, it's a space, like it's like a real world
Yeah.
spaceship, not like, oh, the Star Wars things. Like it does have that sense of, you know, if you look at these two sets on the screen right now, if you're watching the video version, the there's a clear distinction between the displayability or display factor of these two sets, the
Yes.
Botanical Gardens and the NASA Artemis Space Launch System.
I
And I
will say,
think that's kind of your what I'm learning is your taste,
hmm I will say the botanical garden's very pretty to look at, just looking at it right now.
but it's different.
It is different.
And that's where the would Joey's mom complain about it factor. I feel like it does have kind of the like, oh, look at the little yellow people.
Hmm
There's the guy with the little leaf blower and a little fountain, but that is a spaceship, and it is very very cool. So I got you there. You want to tell us your number three?
Yes. Being the Star Wars fan that I am, I had to include at least one Star Wars Lego set on my list, and this is none other than the UCS Jabba sail barge.
I could not believe that this was at number three and not higher.
Well, we'll get there.
You're a Return of the Jedi guy.
I am, but I have the original.
It's so much smaller than this,
It's okay, but it's the original.
but it's worse than this.
Is it worse than it?
Yeah.
I think it goes
Have you seen
from
this in person?
I have at the Lego store where I saw all these other sets.
Yeah. To each their own. I mean, this isn't even on my list, so I can't really complain.
No,
But
I really like it. And kind of what I just alluded to, I did have the original. It was a birthday present growing up from my sister. It was a great set to build, very cool. And it came with the Sarlacc pit and the sand speeder. They weren't sold separately for
I don't
$80.
I don't love that at all. That separation. I mean, it does look like it's missing, doesn't it?
Yeah, like the point of that scene is not about Jabba's sail barge, it's about the Sarlacc pit. Jabba's sail barge is the background.
I I might argue a
That's
little bit
a
on that, but
generalization, but
nevertheless, I would love this is not one that I would personally buy. I and more so what I like about it is that it is kind of like a dual playset and display
mhm.
ship. Like inside is a very detailed interior, but you wouldn't necessarily know that unless you're like opening it. But I love
Right.
that it has that factor to it.
Like functionality wise of the UCS sets, this does look like the one you can take off the wall and just play with.
Yeah, like the AT-AT, it has an interior, but it's not as like very clear. Like there's a kitchen in this set. There's like the whole Jabba area with like his little
Hmm
platform. I think the minifigures are awesome too. Like
Yeah.
getting all of those. I think there's some inaccuracies that people complain about. Like the Bib Fortuna has like the Book of Boba Fett headpiece, but I mean, it's little plastic. It's
They're
okay.
not gonna make a separate Bib Fortuna.
I mean, it technically existed prior to that, but since that set
Mhm.
is either just taken off of shelves or is still on shelves, I think just taken off. They're probably just never stopped making it.
Yeah.
But I really, really like that set. Do you think you're gonna get it one day?
If it ever goes on sale.
It is on sale. I sent it to you.
Okay. Well, when it goes on sale for not that much money, which will be never. So we'll see.
Oh man.
Joey's been trying to get me to buy this set for months.
I on paper you should be far more excited about this set than you are, and I just can't understand why. Is it the
Probably
fact that
it's the nostalgia factor. It's not going to compare to the original one.
I still think it just objectively, from a Lego perspective, it's better.
Okay, but the nostalgia factor.
Oh my God. Are you ready for my number three?
Oh, it's changing. So yes, let's.
My number three is the Milky Way galaxy.
That's
And
pretty cool.
have you seen this at the Lego store, Dan?
Yeah.
I love that there are like so many random pieces in it that what you don't see when you're standing back here. If you
hmm
if you are not watching the video version and haven't seen this before, I strongly recommend you Google it. It's the Milky Way galaxy made out of these crazy cool like glittery blue pieces in the background and then blue and pink and orange and white pieces and purple that all come together and they're really unique collection of pieces. Like I think there's some plant pieces and a frog piece and an ice cream cone and stars. And it all comes together in this like mosaic fashion that is really, really cool. And this does have the Joey's mom wouldn't complain about it factor because it's kind of
That's
built into a picture frame.
that's pretty sweet. I think you should buy it.
This is one that my wife is actually quite excited about, and
How much
I
is it?
it's $200. It's big.
Oh,
It's big. It is big.
would you, if you were to get it, would you like hang it as a,
Yes, 100%.
okay, follow-up question. Would you glue it?
No,
Fair enough.
I'm not a big Craggle. You've not seen the Lego movie, have you?
No,
Oh man, we'll have to watch the Lego movie. They don't like the super glue in the Lego movie.
I'm sure they don't.
But yeah, no, I think this is a very different set than anything that I have. Like my wife and I built together the tiny plant set that would have been
Hmm.
on the list, but I think it was released last year.
Ah,
This set has a very cool thing where like each it's like I can't remember if it's six. I think it's six panels or maybe eight panels, but each bag is a panel, so you can kind of put it together as a group,
hmm.
which I love. Like making it up more of a camaraderie experience rather than just like I'm gonna go into my dungeon and build my Lego Star Wars set, which is usually what I do.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, this is probably the most out of the box set for me on this list. But anything else to add on that before I go to my number two?
No, I'd have to, I didn't, I mean, I looked at it, I didn't examine it, so I have to go get a closer look at it.
It's even if you just go on like the Lego Store website and zoom in on the picture.
I'll see it at your house.
Oh gosh, we'll see. But I do like, I don't know if you can see it. If you are watching the video version, you can barely see it, but there's a little plate that says you are here. And there's like a little arrow and it points to where like the Earth would be in the Milky Way.
That's really cool.
It's pretty fun. All right, but that takes me to my number three, which or
Number
number
two.
two. My gosh, my number two, which is the Duel on Peridia. Now this set here is, I my wife calls this. We've talked about it before, so you've probably heard this if you've heard us, talk about it before. But my wife calls this the slab. It is very, very gray, and it is in fact a plate that you put your figures on. But I think what more could you want from this scene in Ahsoka? It comes with an amazing collection of minifigures, the best Grand Admiral Thrawn we've gotten to date. Modern Ezra, Ahsoka in her white uniform with the cool pillars. And I had some problems with the build experience. It wasn't my favorite build experience, but I just love this set so much.
It's a great set. And I think for you, especially being the Rebels fan that you are, finally getting all these characters
And I
in
just adored the
physically.
Ahsoka show.
Yeah.
So
And you,
having it, yes, having it physically, like I have Ezra from Rebels, but they never made season four Ezra from Rebels. This is the first Ezra they've made in a long, long time, and it was
hmm.
very fulfilling to have. I actually was doing some reshuffling recently with my stuff, and I put my T6 from Ahsoka away. So now the set on my shelf has Sabine in it too, making it even cooler.
I was gonna say, and you can add them to the Ghost.
I'll add them to the Ghost when they all come home. I don't want to jinx it.
Fair enough.
Anyway, what do you think about this? Because I like you're not Dan
It's
loves Ahsoka, loves the show. What do you think as like a like someone who's less attached?
it's not my favorite set.
And I
I
get that. I
I
understand
agree
that.
with I agree with your wife about the slab. Like the minifigs are cool, and the value you're getting is in the minifigs. But like, it's kind of it.
I mean, you've seen this like in
I
the
know
room
I
we
have seen
record
it.
in, Dan. That's where I have this, and Dan has seen it, and it does. I mean, it has a slabby nature to it.
Hmm.
My biggest problem with it is that there's so many stickers. Every detail you see there, from the gold lines on the floor, which should have been prints 100% because you can even see on the picture on the screen here if you're watching in the video version, it doesn't really fully match the color of the gray. The black like detailing with the gold lines on the pillars, which look really cool, and I was able to do the stickers well for once, and
Hmm.
it does look good. But yeah, it's kind of boring. Like if you took the minifigures away, this set is nothing,
Fair enough.
which I think is kind of the point that you and my wife are making.
Yeah.
What about your number two, Dan? Probably a little more exciting.
This is a surprise for
Uh,
myself included.
yeah,
And so my number two is from The Lord of the Rings, Barad-dûr. I apologize if I'm butchering the name.
you got it.
Um, I am in the middle of reading The Hobbit.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I spoiled the monthly update for ourselves, but that's awesome. That's my favorite book.
Well, it's I've been reading it for a while, so like
We know you like to slow burn.
I have the box set. So,
Me too. Maybe we should
so
read them together and talk about it. Anyway,
like
tell us about the
Blue
set.
Shadow Book Club.
Ah, it's cute. I like that.
So this is one of the sets where I went into the Lego store to buy some presents, and this beauty was built, and it is absolutely massive, and it is just so cool, and I want it, but I don't know anything about it. I know that's Sauron at the top.
Well,
Um,
the Eye of Sauron.
the Eye of Sauron, excuse me.
I'm
But
not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan either. I like it a
visually,
lot, but
visually, it is a stunning set. It looks so cool, and I think it is one of the coolest sets of 2024.
I agree.
Again, I have zero attachment to it.
I have slightly more attachment to it. Not nearly a lot, but I think I would agree with you. This is probably the coolest out of 2024. Just visually. And this does have the Joey's mom would complain about it factor to it. But who even cares? Look at it.
Right? Like you
It's
don't have to be a
awesome.
fan of excuse me, to be a fan of the Lord of the Rings to appreciate just the coolness.
No, 150%. And I think if you recall the Lego Vader's Castle set, it's very cool and has a similar thing, like sense to it with like the
Hmm.
lava, but it was on such a smaller scale. And when you really see this, the picture really doesn't do it justice.
No,
You
I'll
have to
see if I can
see
find
it.
the dimensions real quick.
It really, and there's like light bricks in the eye, I think. It comes with a nice selection of minifigures. The gift with purchase, I think, was a really cool like way to accent
It is
the
33 inches tall,
that's awesome.
and it
I
comes with 10 minifigs, so like not a bad deal.
Dan, what's the price on that?
Oh, 460.
Not bad for what you get there. I mean, it's expensive, don't get me wrong, but
But you are buying a behemoth of a set.
I know. Stop making me want this.
Then let's move on to my number one. My number one, I think this was also a surprise to you,
Yeah.
is none other than Jaws.
Walk me through this one here.
I love the movie. Um,
Fair enough.
and it's such a cool set, the way they have it designed with the orca and Jaws.
Orca.
I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's
is
the
that
name
the
of the
ship's
ship.
called? I haven't seen Jaws in ages,
I'm
if
pretty
at
sure
all
it's the
fully.
orca.
Yeah, I thought you were calling
Uh,
the shark an orca, and I was like, Dan, what are you
no.
doing? I mean, again, I have very little attachment to this, but I love the sets that are built on these black base plates. Like
Yeah,
they
it's
build
the
the frame
orca.
around it, and I love how the
Hmm.
ship is askew on it. I think that's such a creative way to do that.
Hmm.
And this was a Lego idea set, right? So someone had
Yeah.
designed this at one, and then it became a full set, which is even cooler.
Yeah, and I love how the scale of the shark too
Uh-huh. And
really puts it into pers
like how it's not fully emerged from the water. It's awesome.
yeah, how it's coming out of the water, and it's a giant great white shark.
Hmm.
It is so cool. When this goes on sale, I'm buying it.
You don't like buying full price Lego, do you?
No,
You're thrifty. I mean, Black Friday coming up. There's a chance it could be.
it is payday.
It's not new enough where I think it wouldn't go on sale necessarily. It doesn't mean it will
Yeah,
though. It is a cool set.
it
So
is. And
you
again,
do see yourself getting this one?
probably, and this is part of the nostalgia factor. Like, we're gonna need a bigger boat. That's all I'm gonna say.
Do you want to hear my number one? Speaking of nostalgia factor,
Of course.
my number one is in fact a set that I own and a set that Dan and I are going to do a review as someone who's a big fan of this property and someone who's kind of just coming onto the scene for that property. But this set is one that I've waited for as long as I can remember, and that is Lego Marvel's The X Mansion. If you are a Lego person, you know the set is not perfect, but that does not matter at all. I love it so much. Do I wish the minifigure quality might have been a little bit better? Absolutely. Do I wish we got Jubilee and Nightcrawler at a minimum? Absolutely. But
I'm
that's not to say what we have here is not fantastic.
I'm really surprised it did not come with Jubilee.
The weirdest thing, and we'll talk about this in that later video, but the gift with purchase for this is a Cerebro, not the Cerebro that's included in this set or a Cerebro from the animated series or comics that this is loosely based on. More so a Cerebro from the movies. And there's a little printed tile that has Jubilee on it. It's just so strange.
Means she's coming in a later set.
I would be surprised, but personally, and we'll talk more about this set in just a moment, but I would like to see another Sentinel, like just a set with a Sentinel and another minifigure or two. I would
That's,
happily pay for that
I think they could do that. I could see them doing.
because they already have the build, they have the print for the head, and I would love to have another Sentinel on the other side of the set because if you look at it, and I have mine displayed similar but a little different to what you see here, but I think it does kind of have all the characters attacking one Sentinel and a few attacking Magneto, where like another Sentinel will kind of break up the action a little bit.
But I feel like it also shows the strength of the Sentinel.
It's true. And it's so cool. It really is like the size of the mansion, which is really awesome. And
Yeah.
there are so many cool details inside of it that are references for an X-Men fan. There are some aspects that I don't necessarily love about the interior, but we'll save that for another video.
I was
But
gonna say stay tuned for that one.
absolutely. We're like I said, we're gonna do some honest reflection as someone who's incredibly biased and someone who's just clearly a fan of good Lego sets. That'd be Dan.
I appreciate that.
You got no allegiance. Your only allegiance is to value and good sets.
Can't,
But go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, can't beat those two things.
Oh man. But I just my favorite part about this set is the variety of the figures. It's giving you so many characters you want. Like the Gambit. I'm gonna stop gushing, but the Gambit figure and that new piece that they made to have his card throwing effects is so incredible.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna stop because we're gonna do a whole other probably hour-long video on this. That's hopefully
Yes.
an exaggeration, but those are our favorite sets of this year for Lego. I
Yes.
or for Lego, Star Wars, anything and whatever. Was anything what do you think of my collection and or my favorites and what we'll say what I think of yours.
M made a lot of sense.
It's true.
Knowing you, I could see you owning every single one of them.
Absolutely. And
In a good way. In a good way.
that's kind of what I tried to do with my list is make it what am I most likely to buy if I don't already have it. And
Hmm.
I was disappointed and based on the leaks, I'm a little disappointed with the Star Wars going forward. I would love to see more scenes, dioramas, that's kind of what I
Which,
gravitate towards. But they're
hmm.
still really leaning into ships, which are just not necessarily my favorite thing to display.
But ships are easy to make and they're easy to sell too many figures with. Three many figures with.
And kids love ships too.
Yes.
T-
But
too many figures in a droid.
yes. And speaking of dioramas, feel free to tune into our one of our most recent episodes about Star Wars sets that we wish existed from the sequel trilogy.
Oh my gosh, yes. That video actually got some, insightful comments. So if you have sets you'd
Hmm.
want to see, please feel free to, come in and let us know what else you'd like to see there. I do
Hmm.
want to throw out one thing with a set that I'm looking forward to 2025, and then we'll get out of your hair. They, for some reason, inexplicably made a Lego Horizon video game based on Horizon Zero Dawn, and they're making more Horizon sets. The tall neck set is one of my favorites. I have it in the room I'm recording it right now. But they're making another one with another character, and I'm just quite excited for it. Are there any new ones coming up for next year that you're particularly excited for, Dan?
No, I was gonna go into 2025 surprised.
Well, then I won't say anything about any leaks.
Thank you.
All right.
What'd you think of my list? Was it
Oh, yeah, I
one
forgot about
sentence?
that.
One sentence.
Big, bold, and beautiful.
3 words. Sums it up.
There, you like yourself a spectacle.
I
And
do.
I can't wait for the day where you have all of these and like glass cases lining
And
your
if
like marble floored hallway.
and if the Eiffel Tower came out in 2024, it was gonna be on here.
That is a spectacle. Big, bold, and beautiful also. Anything else
Yes.
to add, sir?
No?
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please consider giving us a like, review, or comment, subscription on YouTube or the podcast platform of your choice. Consider giving us a follow on Twitter, X at Blue Shadow Pod, or on Instagram at Blue Shadow Podcast. And with that, we thank you so much again for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.